Hi, my name is Alessandro Gangelosi and that's a video tutorial coming from cgcookie.com for Max Cookie. This time I like to go back to Krakatoa and FumeFX, and I like to make a really simple setup to simulate something similar to an ink simulation. So we'll use Particle Flow and Krakatoa and also FumeFX to simulate the ink animation. So we'll do something really simple. We do something falling inside the water, and we'll try to simulate the ink moving inside the water. Obviously, it will be just a fast setup, so you can find other ways, and you can also obtain more realistic simulation, but it's just an introduction to understand how we can prepare and plan our workflow to simulate something similar to the ink substance. Okay, so the first thing I like to check is the unit setup, and I like to work at centimeters. And now we'll try to simulate an object falling inside the water. Let's say that we have 250 frames. And to make the simulation of the dynamic falling of an object, you can use a dynamic simulation done using Mass Effects, or you can do some simulation, for example, in RealFlow or something like that. It's not so important, so actually I'll try to animate the objects manually, and we can use a sphere. It's not important what we are using. And let's go in the scale, and let's say that we have maybe something big as maybe 40 centimeters. It's not a problem about the scaling, it's just to have a fast simulation and a fast setup for the scene. Obviously, you can work with real scale objects and figuring out to solve the problem with different scale mesh. Okay, that's our main objects. And we can imagine that we have a water plane at any point there, for example there, and to simulate the dragging during the water falling inside the falling inside the water, we can animate the body manually. So let's go in auto key, and let's say we go at frame 30, and we'll have the object there. So you see that's what we done, and now we can simulate, change the animation there to have a slow down during the falling. So let's close a little bit this one, and I like to have a zoom for this area. So we need to have there a linear key. There you see the slow down, so the object will slow down at the end, and I like to have a little bit more slow down, so I move this one, so you see this fast and then it slowed down, and then I like to have just maybe a little bit of more movements, so we'll have a little bit of moving there just to come up. Okay, so we have the object falling and then moving a little bit up. Okay, so that's our basic simulation. Everything is done using an AND key. Let's go there to save the scene in the right folder in Dropbox. Okay, and we can have 3ds Max. Let's say fluids, simple ink simulation with Krakatoa. Let's copy the entire name, Ctrl C, sorry, Ctrl V, okay, and then there the scene. Okay. So we have the basic setup just for the animation, and I like to see it from another point of view. let's say something like that. Okay, and we have the entire visualization there. Let's say that for the moment we can create a camera from this point of view. Perfect. So we have the objects, and now we need a fluid simulation that can simulate the ink animation inside a fluid substance. We need to use Fume Effects. So let's go there and let's create Fume Effects around there. Okay, let's move it down there, and we can have it higher, and then we can scale it to see if the simulation is right or not. Let's go at full screen, and let's have double column there. Then we need a source for the Fume Effects. So let's go in the helpers, Fume Effects, and we have an object source. The object source will pick the sphere, so this will be our emitter. Okay. In Fume Effects we have to start tuning. Let's see first of all the scaling. Let's go for something more little, 10 centimeters maybe for the scale, and we'll see later if it's so much or not. And we like to see in the viewport there the preview for the smoke, because we'll use the smoke simulation to do something similar to the ink. Then we have to start playing with a Krakatoa setup. But first of all, I like to have the sphere emitting a ink until a precise frame, and then we see just the ink simulating turbulence inside the water, but we'll have no more inks coming out from the sphere. So to do something like that, we can have a really simple way to solve the problem, and I mean we can animate the smoke amount. So this parameter will control how much smoke will be emitted by the sphere, and if we stop the emission, we have the right simulation to have smoke out of the sphere until a precise frame. So it will be really simple, and we can decide the frame, and we can imagine that at 50 we don't want more smoke coming out from the sphere. So let's select this one, auto key, and we have 2 for the amount of smoke, and at 40 we'll have again 2, and at 50 we'll have 0. So we'll have no more smoke. Let's check the parameter there for the animation. Okay, there, and I want a linear animation. Perfect. So let's start playing with the Fume Effects, and let's see what happens. There we can use the preview viewport, and there we can tune the parameters. So the scale is right for the moment because it is not so much amount of memory used, and then we can go there and we can say let's call it max cookie ink. Okay, so we are ready to start playing with the simulation, but we have to say that we like to simulate just the smoke and fuel. Okay, let's see what happened. Play. You see that it's really fast, but I have to remember to assign the object there. So let's pick the source and back there to simulate, and you see that we start seeing something inside the window there, but it is not so good. It is not what I like to have there. So we have to do some steps to obtain a better setup. Let's save. First of all, I like to have more speed for the smoke emitted by the sphere, and we have the speed is down, so it's better to select the object there, and there we can say to use, for example, 2.5. Let's simulate. You see that there it is a little bit different from before. Let's cancel. That's what we have. Okay. Then we have to play a little bit with the velocity, the time scaling, and you see that there we have the time scaling, but I like also to have turbulence, because actually we have no turbulence. And let's go for more vorticity and play, and you see that we have a little bit more vorticity there. Okay, but I like to have also noise, because actually we have no turbulence. So let's go to have something like, let's try maybe 5 centimeters. It's actually a little bit too low. I like to have more. Let's try with 20. So you see that now we have a bigger. Okay, but I like to have a bigger scale. So this really low actually. Let's try with 100. Okay, it's too much, so we have to go a little bit back. Let's see with 5. So you see it's moving in a strange way inside the water. Okay, let's try to have again a little bit higher scale. Let's try with 200. I like to see how much movement we have there. Okay, and I like to have more detail. Let's go for 2.5. So we'll have more detail inside the noise, so more branches and more turbulences. The tail there, you see how it is moving. Okay, and let's think that actually I'd like to have less speed to simulate the dragging inside the water. So we'll have more speed until there, for example, and then we'll have a slow down. So save. And to have this kind of effects, we can simulate animating the time scale. So we can have 1, and let's get there. Let's say that we have 1 until there, and then we have maybe at 50 we have 0.5. Let's see what happened. We have normal speed simulation there. Everything is moving at the right speed, and in a few we should see the slow down step by step the speed will be less. So you see that we have less diffusion for the ink. Okay, it seems it is working in the right way. And now it is also disappearing. Okay. I like to see what happens if we have a little bit more turbulence. Let's try with double turbulence. It seems a little bit better. Maybe it's a little bit too much, but we can try to play with a velocity damping, and we can animate it. So let's have until there, maybe until 10, the zero value. So there it's 0, and let's say that at 10 we have still 0, but obviously we can't animate it. So it's better to have, let's say, maybe 0 dot, let's try with 0.15, and we can see what happened. You see we have a little bit less movement than before. And then let's see how the stuffs will go away inside the water. Okay, now everything is moving all around. Okay, it seems not bad. Okay, stop. Later, if we don't like, we can obviously change the damping there. Okay, now it is animated, so it was just an error before. Let's go for 0. And let's go in the graph to fix it. So let's see what we have there. That's the Fume Effects. And let's see. Inside the simulation, that's the time scale, velocity damping. Okay, that's there, and we have it right until I think it is doing something strange there. So let's save. And let's have there just the animated tracks and selected objects. I think I have to restart 3ds Max because I see something strange there. Okay, I stopped the recording just for a moment. Okay, now it works. So let's work on the animation there, and I like to see this area. So you see that we have no key there, and we can add a key. We can directly animate there, because there we set to 1015 again and close. And we have some kind of problem with the key, but it's not a problem. We can create it automatically, and there is 0, and then linear key, and there 2 linear key. Okay, and there linear key. Close. So now we can simulate again to see what happened. Let's check it. So the speed is normal at the beginning, and then we have the dragging, and we have also the slowing down done with a time scale. So let's cancel, and we can continue playing with the scene. Okay, so first of all we need a different value for the scaling to have more detail, and I think we can see with 5, maybe 7, so 6. We don't need so much amount of detail, but just the right amount to have a good quality. And then we'll use this simulation to control the speed of a particle flow setup. So you have to remember to export different channels, not just the smoke. So there we have to say that we like to export the velocity. And I mean, maybe we can have the necessity to do something later, so to have not the need to resimulate everything, we can export the temperature tool too. Okay, so now we are ready, and we can make the simulation for the entire animation, and I launch it, and we'll see the result together later, and we'll continue to work on the scene. Okay, the simulation is over, and you see that's what we done. Obviously, if you have time, you can simulate more frames. You see that then we have the stuff dissolving inside the water, but you see we'll need more frames to have the complete disappearing of the ink. So actually we can use these frames just for our test purpose, and you can simulate more frames. Okay, now we have this simulation. We can also see it in a better way inside the preview window. If we have, for example, a lower value there for the opacity, but we like to render it using a Krakatoa. So what we have to do is to save this one and start playing with Krakatoa. So let's close, and let's start creating a Krakatoa, a particle flow system, and we have to start playing with it. So we can move the emitter. Sorry, it is crashed. Okay, we can move it there where we have the sphere at the beginning. Okay, let's open the particle view, and let's scale it to have more space. So we need a really simple setup, so we don't need the speed, we can remove it. We don't need the rotation, and we don't need the shape. We need the particles, and we have all the particles at the beginning. Let's say for the moment that we have 20,000 particles, and we can see it using a so we use it set as dots, and now I'd like to continue preparing the stuffs, because actually we have we can see there, you see that we have all the particles on the emitter, but we have nothing moving there. You see that nothing happened because we have no way to have the particles moving, and that's why we have no control for it. So we need to have the particles moving with the Fume Effects, and to do this we have the Fume Effects follow. So let's go to pick I have to search for it. Fume Effects follow. Okay, and we need that all the particles will go there, so we can use, for example, the send out condition, and this one gives us the possibility to pick all particles and move it to a new event. So we can move it there, and there we can have again dots, and there we have to pick the Fume Effects container, and you see that we have the velocity multiplier set to 1, the influence percentage is 100%, and we have other control, and we see how it looks there. So you see that the particles are moving as the Fume Effects then we can have, for example, a delete to have the particles dying, but obviously I'd like to show you that we can control, for example, there, let's say if the influence is 25%, you see that the particles are not moving inside because the force is too low. Let's go again to 100%, and let's see if we have, for example, the speed set to 0.5. You see that it is moving slower, and if we use there, for example, 2, the particles will move faster, you see. So that's a really interesting way to control the information inside of Fume Effects speed value. Then we can have, let's see there, you see that the particles are still there, and we can start playing. We can, for example, delete the particles. Let's say that we have a delete there, and we need also display, just override it. Okay, and the delete will be after, let's say, maybe 200 frames, and let's say that we have a 25%, 25 frames variation. We can also delete it before, for example, we can start removing it there at 100. So let's go back there and let's say 100, and we'll have a variation of 50 frames. Let's see how it looks. Okay, you see that the particles are going away. Let's see. We can have also another possibility to control the particles, and we can go there and we can set to off the delete, and you see that there inside the Fume Effects follow we have also another possibility to delete particles, and one of the most important is the if out of grid. So if particles will go out of the grid, it will be removed. Let's see if it works. You see that it's moving, and there are no particles out, because as soon as the particles will go out, it will be cancelled and removed. Okay, so now we have the particles, and let's say that we want to have there, let's say the maximum amount is really high. Let's go for 1% of the particles there, and back there let's say that we have 2 million particles. now it works. I have a problem. Okay, now it works. It was just to set to off and to on again the particles. Let's go and set, let's say that we have a white environment. Okay, and let's set Krakatoa as rendering engine. Okay, and we can set our usual resolution 900 and 400 and lock, and let's start playing with Krakatoa to see what happened. Let's go, for example, there, and we can go inside the global, and let's say that our particles are black just to start, and render. Obviously now it takes a little bit to prepare the particle system because we have 2 million particles, but you see it's not so slow. And that's the result. See, it's really visible. And let's play with the density. You see that now it's a little bit better. Let's go lower, and we see it in a better way, and let's try with 0.5. okay, so it seems that the quality is really not bad. We can try to go at frame 40, or maybe before 30, and we can render. It will take a little bit to prepare. And that's the result. You see that the quality is really high. We can see what happens if we have 1 as density. We should have maybe, you see, a more ink coloring there. Obviously we can do what we want with the color. So we can see, for example, a blue ink. It is really not lighted, so we still see it's black. So let's go there, and we can put a light. Let's go for a target direct. And we can move it a little bit there. And then we can have, obviously, a bigger hotspot. Okay, and we'll have also the Krakatoa shadows, so if we have something inside the scene we can see it. And now it is rendering, and you see that we have the lights, and obviously we have complete control there because we can have the emission, and the emission can be a really dark blue, use and override and render. So you see that we have also, we can use an higher quality there, color, and you see that we have this color there. Let's see what happens if we have strange colors working all together. You see the blue and the green. Let's go there, and let's say that we use the red color. Let's close the override for the emission, and you see that we have the red color, and we have also the possibility to have a really dark red in this area, so it will be a better choice to have a better color. But obviously you can use all the color you like to have, so we can go, for example, for the yellow, and it works every time in the right way. So as you see, it's really simple to control, and you can do whatever you like to do there inside the scene to play in a different way with the particles. We can, for example, you see, we can, for example, have more particles if you need a more precise look, and you can control the animation in a different way to have a different animation. We can add more particle system to add different ink inside the scene, and we can also play a little bit with our look using, for example, the magma flow. So you see, it was a really simple way to control the various parameters and have something similar to an ink animation. We can, for example, play with a override emission absorption too, and you see that we have a really strange color there, and we can play with the color to have something different, and we can have really strange stuffs, and you can play as you like to obtain a better look or to obtain strange result. So you see that there, for example, we are using a really acid green color, and there we can go to green. So you see, it's amazing what we can do. So it's a really simple ink setup. Obviously you can play with our particle flow and the Fume Effects to have different results, and you can play with our Krakatoa also to have different look. So for the moment that's all, and I hope to see you back on Max Cookie to check for new tutorial coming from cgcookie.com. Bye.